Have you ever felt trapped in a whirlwind of emotions, unsure of what's happening inside you? You know that feeling of constantly being on the edge of something, but can't quite pinpoint what it is? Welcome to the world of hidden anxiety, where battles are fought in silence, masked by forced smiles and distant gazes. Today we'll unveil the 6 most common signs of this camouflaged anxiety, affecting millions unnoticed. Let's find out together. I am Dr. Anxiety. Sign 6. Excessive worrying, something many of us face but don't always recognize as an issue. You know when those anxious thoughts begin to consume your mind and you can't seem to turn them off? This is what I call excessive worrying, a clear sign of hidden anxiety. Let me tell you a story that might sound familiar. A friend of mine, always someone who planned everything in advance and fretted over the smallest details. However, she began to realize that her worry was far beyond normal. For instance, a simple presentation at work would keep her up at night, thinking about all possible scenarios, even the most unlikely ones. Does this sound familiar to you? The key to distinguishing normal worry from pathological worry is to notice when it starts negatively affecting your daily life. If you, like my friend, often find yourself paralyzed by what-if scenarios that your mind creates, it's time to address this worry. And one technique I find super useful is mindfulness, or being fully present. It's basically focusing on the present without judgment. A simple practice is conscious breathing. Take a moment of your day, sit comfortably, and just observe your breathing. When your mind starts to wander, gently bring it back to your breath. This helps train your mind to focus on the now, reducing worry. Another approach is cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, which works to change negative patterns of thought and behavior. CBT teaches you to question and challenge those anxious thoughts, replacing them with more realistic and less alarming ones. Worrying is a natural part of life, but it doesn't have to dominate your days. Try mindfulness and consider CBT. They will surely help you in some way, just as they help me every day. Sign 5. Sleep problems. The connection between anxiety and sleep disorders is stronger than many realize. A friend of mine, Carlos, went through a period where he simply couldn't sleep well. He would lie down, and his mind would start racing, going over the day's events and worries about tomorrow. This is a classic example of how anxiety infiltrates our rest, leading to insomnia or sleep that never seems truly restorative. Perhaps you see yourself in this story, struggling to find true rest. But then, what can we do about it? Well, there are some simple yet effective strategies that can help improve our sleep hygiene. First, creating a relaxation routine before bed can make a big difference. This can include activities like reading a book, taking a warm bath, or practicing deep breathing techniques. This friend found that dedicating this time to slow down his mind and body before trying to sleep really helped. Another tip is to maintain a regular sleep and wake schedule, even on weekends. This helps regulate your body's biological clock, making it easier to fall and stay asleep. Another very important care is with the exposure to blue light from screens before bed. The light from our phones, tablets, and computers can trick our brain into thinking it's still daylight. Trying to limit this exposure in the hour before bed can be a big step toward a better night's sleep. If you can't improve your sleep routine, it will more intensely trigger the next sign. Sign 4. Muscle tension. That feeling that your shoulders are always shrugged, or that back pain that seems endless, often can be a physical reflection of anxiety. It's amazing and a bit frightening how our mental state can manifest in our body, isn't it? I have a story that might resonate with you. A colleague of mine started noticing that whenever she was anxious about a meeting or a deadline at work, she would end up with a terrible headache at the end of the day. She didn't make the connection at first, but then realized it was the tension in her neck and shoulders accumulated throughout the day, causing the headache. Does this sound familiar? It's a classic example of how anxiety can manifest in our bodies. Now, let's get to the part that can really help. There are ways to deal with this muscle tension, and I want to share some with you. A very effective technique is progressive muscle relaxation. It's an exercise you can do anywhere. Basically, you tense one muscle group at a time, and then consciously relax that part of the body. Start from the feet and work your way up to the face. Dedicate a few minutes to each area, tensing for a few seconds and then releasing. It's an incredible way to relieve physical tension and consequently reduce anxiety. Furthermore, incorporating some form of physical activity into your routine is crucial. It doesn't have to be anything too intense. Even a daily walk can make a big difference. My colleague also started taking yoga classes, and it helped a lot not only to reduce muscle tension but also to calm the mind. The key here is to find something you enjoy, and that can be a moment of disconnection from worries. Signal 3 can bring deep sadness if we don't take proactive steps to resolve it. Sign 3. Avoidance of social situations. This is an aspect of anxiety that can be quite complicated. Have you ever felt a knot in your stomach just thinking about going to a social event or presenting something at work? This is more common than you think and is a clear reflection of how anxiety can influence our desire to interact with others. I have a friend, Tiago, who went through a phase where he simply started avoiding any kind of social event. He felt so anxious about the idea of being in an environment with many people that he preferred to stay home. This began to affect not just his social life, but also professional opportunities. Tiago's story is not unique. Many people deal with similar feelings. The good news is that there are ways to overcome this fear. The key might lie in gradual exposure. This means starting small, maybe going out with a close friend for a coffee, and gradually increasing exposure to more challenging situations as you feel more comfortable. Tiago started this way, first with one-on-one meetings, then small groups, until he felt ready to participate in larger events. This process wasn't quick, but it was effective. Another approach is acceptance therapy. It teaches us to recognize and accept our feelings of anxiety instead of fighting against them. Understanding that feeling anxious is a normal part of the human experience can reduce the stigma around it and make it easier to face feared situations. And here's a tip. Practicing communication and socialization skills in safe environments can boost your confidence. Tiago found that participating in online support groups where he could express his concerns and listen to the experiences of others was incredibly helpful. So start slow, practice acceptance, and seek support. Gradually, you may begin to feel more comfortable in situations that previously seemed scary. Signs 2 and 1 are more common than you might think, and few people associate these symptoms with anxiety, so pay close attention. Sign 2. Irritability. Have you ever found yourself on a day where everything seems to irritate you more than usual? That feeling of being short-tempered, even over small things. This could be a sign of anxiety. I remember a time when I felt this way myself. It all started with a simple misunderstanding or a minor delay in traffic, and suddenly, I was irritated with everything and everyone. It wasn't something I was proud of, and it took me a while to realize that this irritability was actually a reflection of my anxiety. Anxiety can make us feel as if we're constantly under attack, increasing our sensitivity to stimuli that normally wouldn't bother us as much. When we're anxious, our body is in fight or flight mode, and this can cause us to react more intensely, but what can we do about it? Well, there are some strategies I found helpful and want to share with you. First, assertive communication. When I'm feeling irritated, I try to stop and think before reacting. Expressing how I feel in a clear and direct way, without being aggressive, helps to prevent misunderstandings and reduces tension. Another important technique is stress management. This can mean different things to different people. For me, it involves activities that calm me down, like reading or taking a walk outdoors. The key is to find something that works for you, something that helps you disconnect from the stimuli causing the irritability. Moreover, practices of mindfulness and deep breathing can be incredibly effective. In moments of irritation, taking time to focus on breathing and bringing attention to the present can help calm the mind and body. So, if you find yourself frequently irritated and start to realize that this may be linked to your anxiety, try some of these techniques and see what works best for you. Sign 1. Difficulty concentrating. Have you ever found yourself reading the same page of a book multiple times or rereading emails because your mind just can't seem to focus? Well, anxiety has a peculiar way of messing with our ability to concentrate. I remember a period in college when, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't focus on my exam revisions. My mind was always jumping from one worry to another, as if I was trying to tune into a radio but only found static. This, of course, had an impact on my academic performance, something I see many people go through in different aspects of life, whether in school or at work. Anxiety can create a continuous loop of worries, which makes it difficult to focus on a single task. But fortunately, there are ways to deal with this. One technique that really helped me is the use of scheduled breaks. This might seem counterintuitive when you're pressed for time, but taking a moment to step away from work or studies can actually increase your concentration. I usually work for 25 minutes and then take a 5-minute break. During these breaks, I try to do something that clears my mind, like a short walk or simply stretching. Mindfulness practices are also incredibly valuable. Dedicating a few minutes of your day to meditate can help train your brain to focus on the present, reducing the tendency of the mind to wander. When I notice my concentration failing, I stop for a moment to breathe deeply, focusing on each inhalation and exhalation. This helps me recalibrate and return to work with more focus. If you're experiencing difficulty concentrating due to anxiety, try incorporating scheduled breaks and mindfulness into your routine. And know that it's okay to seek professional help if you feel that anxiety is significantly affecting your life.